Why, hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Tipple's Brews and Wines virtual wine tasting with Elizabeth and Jeff Beaudre, the owners of Tipple's Brews and Wines in Gainesville, Florida. Thank you for joining us once again. As this week, we've had a couple of very new world wines in the last 2 weeks of tasting. So this week we're going old world, old school. Actually, literally, even for France. When you get a chance, go ahead and pull up the first slide, if you would.
Okay.
All right, so we will be drinking the Domaine Tour Saint-Michel Chateauneuf-du-Pape. All right, wine ratings are no slouches on this guy, so we know somebody out there likes it. We'll see if you guys like it. Wine ratings, Wine Spectator 93, Wine Enthusiast 94, two of the biggest names there are out there. Food pairings, barbecue beef ribs, lamb chops, Greek pizza with feta, spinach, and olives. Or if you want to throw a little dessert in while you have some of the bottle left, bacon chocolate toffee.
Not the chocolate rutabagas you were talking
Not
about.
the chocolate covered rutabagas, though I would give it a shot. With this wine, I wouldn't put anything past it.
All right.
All right. So
Next.
let's not do next. Now is that magic time where I let you try the wine. I mean, I'm going to drink it too. This is your first.
It is. You've had this before.
I have.
You've had it a lot before?
Nope.
Okay.
Looking forward to having it again, but it very much impressed me several weeks ago. So I jumped on it.
I do have to note that Jerry's actually letting Harriet be on camera. So usually he just hogs the camera, but
Is that a joke about his last name?
oh yeah.
That's
Didn't intend that.
all right. Very nice. Varietal content. Yeah, I know. Now after we had the thing, everything I'm thinking of, I'm just going to change everything I say. So 90% Grenache, 10% Syrah on this red blend. Alcohol content, even as a Frenchie, 14.5%. So pretty ripe, but we'll look at where we are in France to talk a bit about why it reached such a high level of ripeness. That is delightful. Does not make you work to find the aromas. They jump right out of the glass. All right. Black cherry, jammy strawberry. Anything? Some
For sure the black cherry for me. I don't know that I'm getting the jammy strawberry, but you get more than I do. So
very nice. I will get more into what we're tasting, but right now I'm just going to jump back to age worthiness, right? Now that I've had a sip. So what is it okay if I ask you, what do we look for in age-worthy assessment?
okay, we look for tannins. We look for ABV. We look for acidity.
Nice. All right. So let's
It's only taken 3 years. It's fine.
I figured at this point, because you've told me I'm allowed to ask that question because you're all over it. Right. So let's start with ABV. That's right on the label, right? 14.5%. We have good
The
alcohol.
label is nowhere near me, but
Right.
it's fine.
I mentioned the ABV a second ago, but yeah, it's there. So ABV assessment, you don't even need to sip on the wine, right? To figure that one out. I was like, okay, this has enough alcohol to hang out. Tannins, now we need to sip on this guy. Give it a good chew, especially for assessment at this point. I recommend it just for enjoyment, but you can really coat your palate when you're assessing acid and tannins. Did you get a nice puckering, grip? Right? So nice tannins, right? Not aggressive, but nice. Tartness, what do you say? Because I mean, on the way in, that's some really dark fruit, right? Almost some dried fruit component, but on the palate,
Yeah.
does it become fresher fruit? What do you think? I think so.
Yeah.
So we have an acid. It's not an acidic wine, but it has a nice medium level of acidity. So we have a freshness, we have tannins, we have ABV, an easy 10-year wine.
I was just gonna guess. Next time you can have me guess, because I've been right like 4 weeks in a row, but you keep just saying it, so
Oh,
I haven't
sorry.
been able to. No, it's fine. I'm just saying, that's something that you can
That's,
ask.
that's something I
That
can,
is
all right,
fine.
there's a
I'll be
quiz I
okay
can
with
get.
that. Yes.
All right.
And so we do have some tasting notes from Chris and Robin: flowers, rose, violet, maybe. Some, we'll call it black licorice, and some chocolate notes,
All
and
right.
then coffee notes as well. So
All right, I like the coffee. One that I've been kind of waiting on the nose as well is this on the spicy quality. I'm getting an Asian spice note. Like maybe a hoisin because of that dark thing, you know?
okay, I don't get that.
Well, in that case, you're just wrong. It's okay.
Okay, that's
No, I'm
fine.
kidding. But really a nice spiciness to this as well. And there's actually a fun reason for that, but it's different than it normally is, right? Normally we're like, oh, spiciness, right? A lot of that is enhanced by the aging
Mhm.
in barrel,
Okay,
right? All right, so this is aged in concrete. There's
okay.
no oak on this guy.
So I just want to clarify the term spicy.
Mhm.
You mean spices?
Yeah,
Or
I do mean,
Okay,
yeah, I do mean spices, not in any way discussing heat as a spice, you know, as a sign. No, I literally mean baking spices, pepperiness,
Mhm.
and to me, a little bit of like an Asian spice quality to it.
And they agree with the Asian spice, but they say Chinese 5-spice blend, not hoisin.
I like it. I can go there. Right.
Mhm.
Okay. So deep black fruits. They say strawberry preserves. To me, it's not as sweet as that would imply.
Mhm.
So I would go more just dried strawberries on that. Black pepper, leather, black fruits, they're going through theirs,
You're
you know.
definitely getting the pepper
Mhm.
and the black fruits. And then Rachel agrees with the blackberries, and then she said some other berry that, but berries that are not for kids. I don't know what that means. Are there X-rated berries? Can we get some?
I will look into that.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then Jerry agrees with the 5-spice.
Okay, great.
Looked up 5-spice blend. There is anise, anise, whatever you want to call it, fennel, cloves, cinnamon, and peppercorn.
Well, there we go. That's
Yeah.
perfect. All right.
Yep.
5-spice blend. It tastes and smells like the spicy side is 5-spice blend. Boom.
There you go.
There it is.
And then Rachel said not sweet or sugary berry wise. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, no, it's a really nice dry
Mhm.
wine, which I would expect from the French. And then a lot of this, so we get into there, there's going to be a nice minerality. So they talk about leather. I'm almost getting more of a graphite quality to me than leather.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm not really getting leather.
To me, I tend to get more leather when something's seen some oak.
So you think it's the
To me,
berries?
I would go with, yeah, more
Concrete.
like baker's chocolate and a nice minerality to it, you know, almost a granite quality of graphite, you know, baking chocolate and graphite to me is kind of more of what I'm getting out of that, you know, like a real kind of grounding flavor to
Sure.
deal with this, because there's some big fruit here, there's no doubt, but it is definitely grounded with some nice spice, and I think a nice mineral dark component. So that is the beginning of that discussion.
Okay. Should we talk about the label?
Let's go to the label.
Or, I mean, people have given us a lot of notes. Nobody's taking the mic. Does anybody want to take the mic and talk?
Or tell us what you're eating.
Nope. Jerry.
Steak, butter potatoes, avocados, and tomatoes.
Oh, okay.
Did you start off by saying steak for, I couldn't hear the first word that you said.
Yes, New York
Okay.
strips and
Oh.
Yeah. I like the avocado in there too. Kind of, that'd be nice. Some avocado and steak. Yes, please.
And then I put spicy, Penzies has a new spice combination that they put out that's got a little salt but kick to it, that I put that on top of the avocado and tomatoes.
Ooh, that sounds good.
And we had Greek pizza with Greek salad and it went really well with it.
Oh, good,
wow.
good. Well, thanks for trying out that recommendation. I'm glad it did work. Yeah, that always makes me happy. I've actually done pretty lucky. I mean, when people have tried what I placed in there, I have yet to hear. What were you thinking, Jeff? Yeah.
Well, I mean.
We did a red sauce with this kind of I don't know, it's just sort of like a kind of like a Sunday sauce type of thing, but we actually had fennel sausage from Fehrenbacher's, which coincidentally just played great with this, and it really makes some of those like sweeter notes pop a little bit with the food.
Yeah, I didn't think it was gonna go well. When not that it wouldn't go well. No, sorry. I didn't think it was a pairing, so much as just like we're making dinner and then we're having wine. But it goes really well. And yeah, basically having like a bite of food and then drinking the wine definitely brings out those coffee notes. So
Nice. Yeah, the coffee notes. Good call. Yeah. Yeah. When I was talking about those darker notes, I really didn't mention coffee, but that's very good to bring up.
Yeah, I did read it to you before, but
Yeah. I
didn't pay attention to what I was saying. It's fine.
got a lot going on in my head
Yeah.
right now. I'm running a show.
It's just our personal lives are just bleeding into the show.
It
It's
really
fine.
is. We're just- You know what?
Fine.
Blur those lines.
Sure.
Honestly, people probably tune in more for that. Just like Jeff, yammer, yeah. Grape juice makes me feel funny.
No.
More what we talk. All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the label. But thank you guys for sharing that. All right.
Label.
Label time. So we're going to prepare. We're going to pretend that you are in a wine shop, and sadly it's not Tipple's, and so you have no one to help you. And how would you, without anyone there, assess this? First, I would think if you found your way to this bottle, I would assume at least that they have a French section and not just throw it in with red blends in
Oh,
general,
Sure.
because technically it's a red blend. So if you're really not delineating your wines very
Mhm.
much, you could just throw this in with other red wines. I guess that would be really confusing. But hopefully, and you're in the mood for French, you're in the French section for a reason. Okay, boom. Classic French labeling, it is not going to help you out with the different grapes that are in the bottle, right? It's going to tell you the region, and they expect you to know what to get, what you would likely get from there. Red wine is the only thing listed about the wine on the back of the label. So otherwise, at first I thought, did they even really not even say whether it's white or red, but they do say it's red. Cuvée des deux sœurs, right? The blend of the two sisters. I didn't see it specifically said,
Mhm.
but I feel certain that's got to be a reference to the grapes.
Sure.
This is Grenache and Syrah, which are the
Mhm.
dominant two red grapes for the region.
Okay.
So, anyway, the embossed crest, which is kind of fun, right? This is on all Chateauneuf-du-Papes.
Oh.
This is not specific to this winery.
Okay.
Every Chateauneuf-du-Pape that's officially Chateauneuf-du-Pape uses that crest in their bottle.
Is that because of, well, their relationship with the Pope and the Vatican that they do that? I mean,
Oh, they do it because they're so proud of their region,
okay.
right?
Right.
The name, which we will get
Right,
to later
right.
on,
Okay.
yes, with what you were talking
Okay.
about.
All right.
So, but yeah, they're very proud to be from that region. You have to earn that right. And so when you earn the right to have the crest, it's a foregone conclusion they're going to use it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Chateauneuf-du-Pape is considered the most prestigious sub-region of the Southern Rhone.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yeah.
So yeah, for sure they're gonna use that.
Yes. All right. Let's go ahead on.
Jeff, I actually have a question about the bottle, more specifically because I don't know if all of the bottles that we have tonight have this, but it has the like 93-point sticker on it.
Right.
So how does that work in terms of getting that on there?
My guess would be that the rating came out after bottling, and that was most likely done after it was imported to the US,
Yeah.
and the importer did it themselves.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that would be my guess, is that they got here, the importer said, hey, American audiences are going to respond to this. Get an intern and start opening up boxes and slapping it on. So that's
Okay.
my guess. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've always wondered because like some bottles have the point stickers on them and some don't. And I'm like, I don't know.
Right now, that's a good question. And some bottles get entirely different labels when they come into the United States, depending on what the importer thinks will sell better. So you could end up with a wine that has a label in England that looks significantly different from the label in the
Yeah.
US.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I've been learning more about that side of the
Mhm.
business, bit by bit, but yeah, they have a lot to say about it. And sometimes they even say, well, we're gonna buy this much of your wine,
Mhm.
and we want this label because it's going to sell better.
No, that's very interesting because they do that in the entertainment industry too, like books sometimes
Oh,
have
sure.
different covers and different names and like Harry Potter.
Right, Harry Potter had different cover and name, didn't
yeah.
it? It was the Philosopher's Stone.
Mhm. And then, I mean, I know movies, they do
Mhm.
different covers, different names.
Well, I was
Excuse
thinking of when they like throw those like Rotten Tomatoes certified fresh stickers on DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff like that, because look, this like, I don't want this on here, get out of here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I thought
I
this
agree
came in
with you.
with the bananas when I bought the other thing.
Wait,
I think it's a joke about certified fresh.
yeah.
Sure.
And then, Rachel, I didn't know there was a different ending to the series in the UK. Okay, that means I have to read the British versions of all the books now, or at
No,
least the last
totally.
one.
Not totally different, but there's a little life death difference at the end of the one from the UK. Just a little at the very last
Really?
book. There's some, yeah, and they have a prologue. It's a little bit different in the UK. It's I will not spoil.
Okay,
All
Worth
right,
it.
well, I guess we're getting that.
yeah,
All right,
okay, thank you.
excellent. We have that as a win no matter what happens tonight.
Yeah, no matter what
Even-
happens, we're doing
right.
the, so just before we move on, just the last book is there, okay.
Just the ending of the very last book, of the end of the
Ending
whole.
of the very last
Mhm.
book. Okay, all right, thank you.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Ready?
Yes. All right, so the Southern Rhone, they really are the originators of the GSM blend, right? They're the Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedra. Now, in this case, Mourvedra, they are the big three, but Grenache and Syrah are kind of in an echelon to themselves,
Okay.
where many of them will leave out the Mourvedra. In this case, tonight, there's no Mourvedra,
Mm.
right? But GSM is the overall blend, and then they often use Cinsault, but then they're up to 13 in Chateauneuf-du-Pape, 13 options of red they're allowed to use.
Okay.
They're in very small amounts, and you just don't see it all that often. But Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedra, the big grapes to know. GSM, literally a style that people talk about throughout the world. The Aussies love making GSMs. But tonight, Grenache, Syrah take the field. Grenache adds spiciness and nice alcohol because it easily ripens. And then the Syrah will add kind of big color, the tannins, and pepperiness. Be a little smoky too. and
What
give
did you
some-
say the percentages of each were? I don't remember.
90% Grenache, 10% Syrah.
Okay.
So next slide, please. All right, predominant flavors in a GSM. Raspberry, blackberry, rosemary, so we get an herby quality in there, baking spices, and lavender. Now, I'm not getting as much lavender tonight, but then again, we don't have the Mourvedra in there, and to me,
Mhm.
that's the one that generally provides the lavender.
Okay.
So, the baking spices and herbiness can come from the Grenache and the Syrah, but then the Syrah adds like a pepperiness, which they didn't have in there, but it's definitely a thing.
For us, I feel like we're more blackberry heavy than raspberry heavy as well.
I agree. Yeah, kind of a flip flop on there.
Although I don't know that they're going like in descending
Right, yeah,
flavor
they're just
profiles. They're just up there.
fair.
Do you want to go through this?
Sure. Dryness is a dry, yeah, that's dry wine. Medium to full body, yeah, that's a big full body on that wine. Medium high tannins, I'd go medium high, not
Mhm.
high, medium high,
Sure.
yeah. Medium acidity, yep, you go medium, and we're at 14 and a half, so we're on the upper end of the spectrum, up to 15, right?
Mhm.
So they all kind of ticks all the boxes. I will say, I've had Chateauneufs significantly more expensive than this that were just fruit bombs lately. Like some of them, I don't know where they're going. You know, I think maybe they're thinking they can kind of make something for the fruit loving American palate, is my guess.
Okay.
This is definitely more traditionally made, which makes me happy. So, anyway. But I've had some lately that were just fruit bombs, and I thought, what you doing
So
there?
you did not bring those in?
I did not.
Yes, you did not want to revisit.
I did not revisit.
So we do have a couple of comments. Chris and Robin, the more I drink, the more I think it's a red licorice rather than a black licorice.
Oh, this is an evolutionary wine in that it will change in your glass. Like ours was open 30 minutes and now we've been talking another 30. So now we're getting into where this wine is going to present.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I agree, it's getting redder and redder.
It is actually.
Yeah.
And then Rachel said she does not smell a flowery scent, no lavender. The astringency cancels it out. She's thinking medium high tannins in the top end of medium, more full body. Yeah, I absolutely.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah. Medium high tan is like at the top end of medium. Yeah, they're not aggressive. We're having it with no food and we're not thinking, oh, I wish I had some food with this, but they're kind of nice and grippy and firm.
Yeah.
It gives nice structure to the wine. And
Yeah,
so
we're not getting flowery anymore at all. And like either Chris or Robin said to Rachel, they thought it was flowery-er toward the beginning.
toward the beginning, that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And become a little more herby as it opens up. I can see that. What was I going to say? Oh, so imagine this wine with these nice big fruit with minimal herbs and spice, and if it had no tannins to no. Well,
Yeah, and then I'm thinking it's crisp, but I'm not sure. I do think that GSMs sometimes tend to be fruit bombs. The percent blend on this wine might help. Does it? It's a question.
yeah. I mean, I think they had some pretty nice Syrah to reel this guy in, you know, so that they didn't end up with a big Grenache, you know, fruity bomb. The other thing is they chose to put no oak on this, right? Oak tames tannins. And they probably said, I want all those tannins. And so in addition to kicking up the minerality, we're also going to keep those tannins up and bright and burly as possible. So if they had a lower tannin wine, this is a winemaker with a plan and a good one, I think. So
Jerry's on the second glass already. So he's a fan. And then Rachel was saying it's hard to.
is Harriet on her
Oh, is
second?
Harriet on her second?
Wow.
I didn't know Harriet was partaking. Awesome. And then Rachel said it's blended with flavor. It's not easy to pick out the pieces because it's so balanced. I agree.
Right. And that's kind of an old world philosophy of winemaking, and especially French, in that balance, right? I had well, I'll tell the story because I don't want to take up the time with this. I had a beautiful Malbec this morning. In fact, we should drink this Malbec. I really, really like this Malbec.
Day yesterday.
I know. Well, I guess then it's too late. We just can't do it. So yeah, no, I had a beautiful Malbec this morning that made me very happy. I'll tell you guys the story after. And I should make that a wine of the week. It's delicious. It's never been in the store. So.
And there are only 3 bottles. We're getting all of them.
There's only 3. We're getting all 3. So you guys can fight over it.
I'll fight you for that. I prepared myself for tonight so I could try this wine.
Well, I'm glad.
Fantastic.
I'm excited. I mean, we have a run of wines coming up, and I like everyone. I choose the wines because I like them. You guys know that. But I'm actually kind of particularly excited about like the next run. It's like 5 or 6 wines in a row, and I think each one is really cool. So anyway,
Awesome.
that's why if you rate it under 80,
You're not
not invited back. Nope. So I like this now because Chris did the video,
the spoof,
the spoof of us. Now I'm parodying his parody back to
There
him.
you go.
This is very meta. It's very meta. All right, so let's go back to the slides.
All right.
Let's get through this. I mean, after all, I created it. I shouldn't just talk past it. All right, next slide, please. All right, so the origin of these grapes is where we are drinking them from. So southeastern France. All right. And we'll get back to France and where the wine is made, but this is just talking about origin of the grapes. So styling of the, of the body, the anatomy of the grape. So we're dealing with Grenache is a thinner, medium skinned black grape. All right. Medium skinned keeps kind of, but it can lose a lot of the medium skinned. Like if you go with Pinot Noir, thinner skin tends to hold on to its acid more.
Okay.
Grenache, no. Like Grenache will ripen right through them.
Okay.
Yeah. So you got to be careful with it. But it adds a really nice spicy quality. And because it ripens so readily, it gives you a great base for the wine, and you can build flavors on top of it. Syrah, now Syrah, the skin thickness changes dramatically based on the temperatures and sun exposure and wind exposure, right? So we're in the Rhone, so we have the Mistral winds, right? So they come blowing through there almost all year. And so you've got winds to thicken the skins. You have and this Chateauneuf-du-Pape area has a lot of sunshine. So this would be a riper version,
Okay.
but they are keeping it not too ripe, right? Because we're keeping the tannins in there to kind of bring in it. But once again, it's not crazy strong tannins either. So it's a nice combination in this. We're dealing with a thicker skin grape in this case. It's a little thicker skin, a little more intensity, tends to keep some more acid. So a lot of the acid will be in from this one as well. So you've got like a lot of the heavy lifting being done by the Grenache and a lot of the character jumping in from the Syrah.
Okay.
All right. All right. So where are we? We are over here in the southeastern part of France. So right about the middle of the northern growing latitude, just a little above.
higher.
All right. So here we are. We're in the southern Rhone. Down here, this is the northern Rhone here, and Provence is for rosé, though they're starting to grow more reds. Anyway, so we're in the southern Rhone. Within the southern Rhone, this is the Rhone River Basin. We're in Chateauneuf, right here. So we've had some different wines. Can I?
Yeah, you want me to move them?
So, thanks, Edgar.
Okay.
So we've had Chateauneuf.
Mhm.
We've had Côte du Rhône in general, which is a blend of multiple areas. At a wine tasting, we had that Tavel Rosé. This area, actually within the Southern Rhone, specializes in that very intense rosé.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was for the Thanksgiving compatible wines.
That's right.
We've had Larocque, most of us. Actually, and we featured a Larocque. And we've gone to Vaccaret and Gigondas. We've kind of worked our way around a little bit. Avignon is the city down here. That's not a wine region, that's just a city,
Okay.
but it matters. So here's Avignon. There's Chateauneuf just right up the river from it, right? I just want to show some of the topography.
Yeah. That was a new map. We haven't had that one before.
And thank you to Fernando. I'll give him credit later on. That's okay.
Okay.
All right, so Chateauneuf established, Chateauneuf-du-Pape was established as the first French viticultural area. So the first French viticultural
Oh
area
my God.
was Chateauneuf-du-Pape,
Wow.
1936. Allows up to 13 different red wine grapes, but generally they use Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedra, little Cinsault, that kind of a thing.
I'm still thinking about that 1936. That seems so recent for France.
Yeah,
I mean,
honestly, it was then that France began to work on it, and that's when, right around that time, then they went over to Bordeaux, and that's when Bordeaux was no longer allowed to import Syrah,
Okay.
because they were importing Syrah from the Rhone to blend in, and they said, no, we need to have our own identity. You can't bring grapes from across France and call it Bordeaux.
Sure.
So yeah, that all happened in the 30s. Before that, it was make what you want.
Well, and then Cherry is like, oh yeah, I've had lunch behind that castle.
Yeah,
Any place in Europe you show, Jerry's like, I've been there. I've been there.
And not every place. The river's to the back of the river's to the back of the photographer, by the way.
Okay. That's awesome.
So let's see. The name Chateauneuf-du-Pape means the Pope's new castle. All right. So, and that was established during the 14th century when the papacy was seated in Avignon. And this was like a getaway castle for the Pope. I'm going to the country. So they had a big castle in there. It fell into disrepair later on when the papacy moved its seat. and it was too expensive for the local Duke to continue to
Okay.
take care of. Soil in the area. Oh, wait, well, listen, I did get a video that is one of my favorites on how to properly pronounce this region.
Okay,
So
hopefully you all can hear it.
hopefully you can hear it. Turn up the
If
volume.
you can't, you can turn it off.
You know how this works.
Because, yeah. I did hit play.
There it is.
Chateauneuf-du-Pape. Chateauneuf-du-Pape. No poopy. Chateauneuf-du-Pape.
That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite things ever. I had a wine rep show that to me back 7 years ago. It just makes me so happy. You have to play it again.
Okay, I'll play it one more time. Makes Jeff laugh every time.
It does.
Chateauneuf-du-Pape. Chateauneuf-du-Pape. No poopy. Chateauneuf-du-Pape.
I love the pause. No poopy.
Shoot a doofy da poopy.
Da poopy.
That's right. All
All
right.
right, it's gonna try and
Lit-
grab it.
Literally like that. We were looking at a map of France to decide like where to go for a cruise excursion and stuff like that. And my sister, who does not drink wine or anything like that, was like, oh, we can go to Chateauneuf-du-Pape. And
Oh.
so now every time that's all I hear is her just being like, Pappy. And I'm like,
Pappy.
great.
That's great. That's awesome. They're known for their heroin. The poppy. The
Oh.
poppy. Why
Great.
not?
Well, Poppy, but
Poppies, yeah. Anyway. That's great. Well, see, and it just shows that's why it's important to listen to that video so that you know how to pronounce it. It sounds sophisticated. Shoot a noofa poopy.
well, this is trying to grab everything.
Okay.
All right,
All right.
but hold on, they can't see
They can't
that.
see that, yeah.
Nope. I was moving them in front of us and now it's all a thing.
Okay. I think they have something they can do to kill the time, which is probably sip on something.
Yeah,
Fine
the
wine.
tools have disappeared though, so you guys just wait a moment because there are no tools. There they are.
There we go. Awesome. All right. So Chateauneuf is famous for their rocks in the soil. So the galets roulés, right? So they say that that it means like river rock, but I'm like, that's not the word for river. I'm pretty sure it means round rocks. But anyway,
So you
but-
disagree with them,
yeah,
but it's their language, right?
I disagree with the one website that I saw was
Okay.
discussing it. And I was
Okay.
like, anyway, that's fine. But it means roll, right? Round rolls.
I
You
don't
know, like,
I don't speak French.
my
not
Paul was here, he'd back me up. So, these rocks, you can see, I mean, it's very rocky with like a sandy clay underneath it. And they soak up the warmth. So when it chills at night, because that wind is still
Then
blowing,
it's still radiating.
then it's radiating the warmth and it keeps the roots warm and, and it keeps it from getting too chilly. So those rocks are incredibly important. Now, those rocks also exist on the other side of the river in Larac. But Larac is not Chateauneuf-du-Pape, right? So that's why one of the things I say about Larac is it's almost the same region. It's just further to it's on the west side of the river instead of the east side of the river.
Basically the same wine for less money.
For less money, yes. That's why Larac, when you can find a good one. Now, lately, all the good ones have been out of stock in the state of Florida because I buy all of them, right? Because I love Larac and I love that story.
They're all in our
Um,
store.
I buy them all. And no one else has them. 16 bottles got them. But they've all been out of stock. And then I had one and I was like, okay, good. Here's a Larac. Let's try this one. Oh, that's just sad.
Oh,
No.
you did not revisit.
I did not revisit that. That made me upset. But so the galet, all right, that's an important part to remember about Chateauneuf. It's also, I talked about sun exposure.
Mhm.
This is one of the sunniest areas in all of France. It gets as much sun per year as Los Angeles.
Really?
Yes.
Okay,
So,
Because the last time we were in LA, it rained and they like lost their minds.
Yeah, they-
Oh my God, it's raining.
yeah, they got an inch and a half of rain. They,
It wasn't hard. It
They
was
were
just,
warning
we were
people.
walking in it.
Yeah.
It was fine. They were crazy. Yeah, it's all over the news. Watch
but-
out, it's raining.
exactly. You know, they go, don't drive. It's an inch and a half of rain. It's like flooding. And we're like, oh, dear Lord. So Rachel, the Shapoopy, the Music Man reference with Chateauneuf, I think that all the time. The first drama that I was involved with was with the Music Man. So Music Man has a very special place in my heart. I love the Music Man.
Mine was West Side Story. You came to see me in West
I
Side
did.
Story.
I saw you in West Side Story. You were one.
Thank you.
All right, what are they saying? Us or the screen?
They're seeing the screen.
Okay, great.
Well, they're seeing us too, but
A
small.
small one.
It depends on who they're looking at, but yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one. It's time to talk about the winery. I love this picture that they had,
That's fantastic.
right? Isn't that great? And
Yes.
once again, they're showing the Gallet,
Sure.
right?
They're very
So
proud of their-
Domaine Tour Saint-Michel is family owned and operated to this day, which I know we love that.
Mhm.
Founded in 1930 by Michel Fabre. 75 acres. So we're drinking this. There's only 75 acres within Chateauneuf. They have
Wow.
some other acreage outside, but that's not factoring into this wine, right? 75 acres within Chateauneuf is all that they control. And we get to have some of their fine wine. So Michel's son Henri took up the torch with his wife Elaine after that. And then their daughter, Muriel, and her daughter, Majali, are now running it,
Fantastic.
right?
So we could have put this in the women's and wine.
We could
tasting,
have. And
Or women,
oh,
women and
I
wine.
can't
Yeah.
make it index.
What do you want to do?
I want to go to the next slide because I have the pictures.
Okay, you just click.
Okay,
There you go.
there we go. All right. So there we have the whole
So
lineup.
here's who's running it right now.
That's them
on the
now.
far right.
Yep.
Okay.
So
So it was started as a family
started as family.
vineyard and now it still is.
It still is. Yep, it's just gone down the generation. So fantastic. So let's go to that. And to get like a really nice overview of their property,
Mhm.
we have a video.
Okay.
And this just has a little music with it. There's no
There's no
spoken,
okay,
so
narration. Mhm.
yeah, so we don't have to worry about any audio issues.
Okay.
This we can hear. Hand harvested. Hand picking, but putting it. And and three minutes. Sam attending this new replantings. I love watching this. I think they're just showing up. They have events.
Just a couple of rules versus.
It's funny that Jerry put in the chat is like most of the vines are sour stake, not trellised, and they went thoroughly into how they stake them and don't trellis them in the video. I
Yeah.
was like, well, there you go. Thanks, Jerry. That was
Yeah.
perfect.
Exactly. It's like, see, this is where, like, at first Dave thought things were scripted.
Oh, right.
It's like we handed out specific cards. Okay, say this at this time. And Jerry's like, yep, it's slide whatever. I need to say something about staking, not trellising.
Right. It's perfect.
Mhm.
Lined up just right.
Yep.
Thank you. Good job, Jerry. See, and Dave bringing up questions like that we don't want to answer. That's why he got kicked out this week. See, he's not there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We didn't allow him to come to the live tasting either.
I know, honestly, I didn't know what, I couldn't put my finger on what I was enjoying so much more about this week. It's Dave's absence. It's Dave's absence. It's really great.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna send that little part, just.
Yeah, we
in-
need to
in the lab,
video that
so
and just send it out later.
Just on a loop.
Tag him in it.
Yep.
All right. So,
Okay. Do we want to talk about things before we get to the ratings?
yes, let's share any last thoughts. That's the spiel, everybody. So don't worry about ratings as far as how you feel, but any thoughts about the region, the wine? Feel free to share.
I was just gonna add, we were at an area near La Orange. We'd driven down from Lyon, where the Rhone runs through Lyon up further north, but you're almost on the Mediterranean there. And so compared to say California or something, you've got warm Mediterranean climate there, a little bit different than the cool waters off the coast of California. So I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but certainly is quite a different area.
Right.
It's gotta make a difference.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
so-
for sure. Yeah, it definitely.
So what, how, in what way?
All right, so that it's a warmer growth area where it's kind of like what I was talking about, where they had the Syrah, but they managed it so they kept it from becoming overripe.
Mhm.
So overripeness is something they have to battle. So thank God for the wind to help kind of give it some character and structure,
Mhm.
because that is an area where if you're not careful, it could just become an overripe fruity mess. And frankly, it happens because I've tasted it. Even certainly from the Rhone, Southern Rhone in general,
Mhm.
but even within Chateauneuf, I've had some really berry bomb flabby wines that here they are, they would sell, retail price pushing $70 a bottle. And I thought, what, you guys drink this, right? Anyway.
So do, I just imagine that the French are really like particular about that.
Mhm.
And I don't know if they do this, but it seems to me like they would have people going around tasting going, oh no, you can't like distribute this
Oh,
as a
no,
representative of our region. Like,
something I want to say, hopefully it's fine. All right, so
you can say it out in the after party if you want.
my belief is the way it would work would be this.
Mhm.
Let's say they get a particularly ripe fruit forward vintage.
Oh, they go, let's send it to America.
Send it to the United States. Yeah, just send
Mhm.
more of it to the US
Yeah.
and basically take that vintage and send it to maybe the US, maybe Australia, where we have a much more fruit forward palate.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
and so that would be my guess.
Ship it all to Brian. Brian drinks it all.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that I would guess, like they could say, hey, this is more appropriate for this region of the world.
I mean,
So-
that's fair.
And you could have a cool year, right? That was particularly austere, and maybe they keep that there. You know, for them, that's the better vintage, but for most Americans, they're not looking for that. So
True.
it's a fair thing.
Rachel has a question.
I have two weird things, and this may just be off in left field, but I have never seen a machine like that, quite like that. I have no idea what that's called. It's a large, obviously large industrial equipment, and I'm like really interested in what it's called and all the functions of it, what it does, and who makes it, of course. But the other weird thing that I've missed, I don't know how, there must have been alcohol involved all this time. When we were looking at the peripheral zone of the grape in that image you had, it said peripheral zone, and the number one tag or the number one ingredient was potassium. And so, you know how people are like, and I think this is with quantity, not quality drinkers. They're like, you know, you drink, you're not going to sleep well. But I think that there's a ritual to wine. And I think that when you're an adult drinking good wine, there is a ritual to being in communion with your friends and just kind of putting the past or the day behind you. But there was potassium as that number one ingredient. And we all know that potassium helps you sleep, and Harriet would know more about that than me. But what's the connection there? And this may be just like something to ask a doctor. But Dr. Jeff, if you have anything to add in, potassium is the number one in the peripheral zone, number one ingredient. So I'm like, see, wine does help you.
Well, there you go. And
This is the week Linda's not here too.
right, exactly. Could use a dietitian here. But I would say that would be part of why they talk about red wine being more beneficial than white. Because that peripheral zone is much less potent in white grapes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I've never noticed that potassium was listed first.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. We need to do some research on that. Clearly there needs to be a study. We'll do a study.
You know, you guys are just convincing me that I'm going to take this slide out.
Fine. Shoot.
Yeah,
There was a great question out of it.
there was. It is a good question.
Some
It's-
good wonderings about
But
it.
let's go to the farming equipment, right?
Okay, no, it's funny because I said the same thing. Like I leaned over to him during it and I said, what is that? Because he had just said hand harvested. I'm like, wait,
Yeah, what's that?
that doesn't look like hand harvesting.
That's just a tractor. That's hauling the grapes in. You saw like the big bins on the side. They're hand harvesting and loading the buckets into it. And it's a tractor that's really high, so it doesn't crush the grapevines as it goes through. So you saw it was passing over them. And all it had no gears, mechanisms underneath it. It's just driving slowly so the people can bring the buckets and load up the sides full of grapes.
He doesn't like that answer.
Well, that's
No,
all.
I'm just like, that is no piece of construction equipment I've ever seen. And I mean, you could set up a rail, you could just set up a rail and send a cart down the rail, but that's like really interesting the way it's just built, the
Well,
mechanics.
once it gets loaded up, they probably, because then they crank it into gear, head back, dump it into something bigger, get back. So
Get out
everyone
on the
takes-
farm. Get out on the farm. You'll see that right here. They have a high wheeled equipment that goes over the crops, whatever they are. That just happens to be grapes.
Huh. Okay, Rachel, we need to go to a farm. We're just gonna go.
I'm just, I'm used to concrete mixers and dump trucks and
They can be pretty high too.
That's fair.
True.
Mm. All
Okay,
right.
the next slide is the ratings. I don't know if anybody wants to ask any questions or.
Any more before? All right. So I'll go into my spiel.
Okay, hold on a second.
Okay.
I really hate that word. I wish you would stop using it.
Oh, man, it's probably not going. All right. So
Wait, hold on, I have people in front. Let me just stop the share mode. Because I moved it over to the side so we could see people, but it's a whole thing, but your screen doesn't work the same way that mine does. There we go.
okay, so wine scores. This guy had 93 and 94 points, so it's well up into the outstanding category from some well-respected people. Bottom line is when you look at a wine, start with the assessment, which is fair. Did you even like the wine, right? But was it well made, even if it's not your exact favorite style? And then you go into, is it well made for the region?
Mhm.
You know, is it good for the money? All that kind of thing. And is it appropriately priced for the region? For example, like Chateauneuf demands a higher cost, right? So then you can say, okay, well, a lot of Chateauneuf in, let's say, at least I can speak intelligently about Floridian wine prices, right? Chateauneuf tends to be around $60-ish as a starting point. All right, we won't have to talk about what we did this week, but
Yeah, we can't talk about specifics while recording.
right, but what do you think about that? Taking into an assessment of the Chateauneuf, did I enjoy this, that kind of a thing. So, and also, like you've talked about, people that submit for ratings
Mhm.
tend to know their wine is good already, because you don't want to pay to have somebody rate your wine and then you already knew it wasn't good wine, and then here's your 77, just like you thought it's a mediocre wine. Like, thanks, I knew that already, right? So these guys think they have something good when they do it, which is why there tends to be a cluster around 90.
Mhm.
That was a brilliant thought. You know, like that whole thing made so much sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, it really was. It was so,
It is skewed up.
but also there is a skew toward, if it's an 85, people are like, oh, 85, well, how embarrassing, right? But it's still a very good wine technically, right?
Right.
But actually, darn it, I forgot to do that. I found this wine rating the other day where they eviscerated this wine,
Mhm.
talking about how it was basically disgusting. 87 points. I'm like, come on.
Well, they shouldn't have said if it was disgusting, it should have been down 50 to
Right.
74.
Like
then.
I gotta find that review and share it with you guys.
Who was
If-
it by?
It was a major house. It was-
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it was a major house. And and I was like, come on, like 80, if you're this wine, if you read the description, he didn't say not recommended, but it implied not recommended, and he gave it 87 points. I'm like, no, give that thing a 75 or lower, right?
Yeah.
Just do it anyway. And that's me. That frustrates me a little bit. So
So here are our ratings. We have a 93 from Chris and the Hogsets.
nice.
Kristen Robin, great wine, great food wine, super balanced.
Mhm.
95 from Linda and Brenda.
Beautiful.
Jerry wants another bottle. Robin says 91.5, 91 to 92.
Mhm.
Rachel is into it, robust feel. I'm a 93, and she likes the poopty pants pronunciation. There you go.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed that.
And then Linda and Brenda also want another bottle.
Nice.
And Chris and Robin had to hop off for something at 9 o'clock, I guess.
Okay.
And then for me, I would have done 92 to 93. Yeah.
Nice.
Mhm.
Very nice. Great ratings. Everyone liked the wine. I'm glad you did. I thought you would. But I always like to see it come through.
Mhm.
That makes me feel good. So yeah, obviously I'm a fan. I give this guy an X rating 93. So X rating 92, 93 right in there.
I love that you're starting to give your own ratings.
You do?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. This is only the second or third time you've
It's
done.
only, it's probably second, yeah, the second, maybe third time. Yeah, because I don't want to,
Influence.
I don't want to influence anybody.
Right.
And you don't have to agree with me for me to respect your opinion. I
Yeah.
mean, it's fine. I don't ever want that to be the, oh, so the correct answer was, no, I don't have the correct answer. It's just what I thought. So.
I didn't think you had always had. I'm just saying.
That is not news. Yes. Yes. All right.
And then Consuelo 91. So our
Oh, good.
range tonight is
Yes.
91 to 95.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I mean, it does, what it makes me wonder is, if Brian were on, would we have a 91 to 99 range?
Oh, right. Would you
So-
love it?
So we have to have Brian try this so we can see what the influence would. So 2 bottles.
Okay, we have them behind the counter, so they're held, so
Okay.
so you guys should be able to run in and grab them. So
Okay.
it's a one bottle.
The Hogsets,
Exit,
and then
one bottle,
Linda and Brenda. One of them
Yeah.
will pick it up.
Linda.
That's a great price for this wine. Even the
Yes.
ones in France where we were started at $60. Those were the cheapies. And that was
Yeah.
20.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right. So, and we'll cover this a little bit more in just a second. when we
we'll
start
cover the
recording.
price once we're not on, yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
So let's go thank our sources and talk about next week's one.
sure.
And then we'll get to gab as we want.
Mhm.
4-letter word time after we stop recording.
Only 4-letter words are allowed after we stop recording.
All right. So thank you to Wine Folly, always amazing resource. Wikipedia, wine.com, Fernando Beteta, winetourism.com, Anthony Gadet, Tour Saint-Michel, the winery for tonight, and Wine Arc. Thank you guys for your fantastic content.
Ready?
Yep.
Next
So next week, there will be another wonderful wine. Next week, we're staying in the old world,
Okay,
but we're giving some love to a place we've only been to one time before in all these years. We're going to Portugal again, finally.
awesome.
Well overdue. We will be drinking their dominant national grape, Touriga Nacional, right? So I love Portuguese red blends.
Mhm.
And part of what I love is Touriga Nacional, but they're almost all red blends. You know, I love to grab a single
To try
variety,
that
right?
grape actually tastes like itself.
Exactly. So we are getting a Touriga Nacional next week.
All right,
Wine Enthusiast gives us 93 points. Food pairings, beef and parsnip stew. Get real earthy and, you know,
sure.
grilled octopus.
Mhm.
That was from Portuguese cuisine. So
Mhm.
smoked mushroom with garlic butter. By the way, I looked that up and I thought,
That's
oh,
the
my.
Of all the things on there, that's the thing I want. Smoked
Right.
mushroom with garlic butter. I'll just send it to my mom and see if she'll make that.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if you put a little white truffle oil on that too?
Yeah.
It might be too rich to eat. It'd be incredible.
It sounds like a challenge I'm willing to take up.
Chocolate pistachio macaroon. You know, I've been throwing some kind of
You know,
desserty
you
things.
Just go pick that up at the macaroon place in Celebration. They probably have a chocolate pistachio. I know they have a pistachio. You can,
Right.
if they don't have it together, you get a chocolate, you get a pistachio, you just,
Squish them.
Yeah.
That's right. I always say, like, I know that a lot of these big reds, you're not thinking dessert and you wouldn't open it for dessert, but if you have some left over, it's nice to know, you know, you can play around with it.
yeah.
So anyway.
What is this leftover wine you speak of?
Yeah, right.
I think Rachel's like,
Yeah. Unlikely.
all right, let me stop the share. There are no tools again. It's fine. Yep, that's why I moved that out of the way.
Okay. All right, everybody. That was tonight's
You gotta think of a new
a
word.
new word. Exploration of Chateauneuf-du-Pape by the wonderful Tour Saint-Michel. Beautifully made. All right. Thank you, guys.